The King's Invisible Outfit. Once upon a time, there lived a king with an unusual obsession: new clothes. He spent all his money on fancy outfits and didn't care about his soldiers, the theater, or even a walk in the woods, unless it was a chance to show off his latest attire. He had a suit for every hour of every day, and while most kings were said to be in council meetings, everyone knew where to find him. The king is in his wardrobe. In the bustling city where the king resided, two crafty swindlers appeared one day. They claimed to be weavers who could make the most exquisite fabric ever seen. Not only would the colors and patterns be breathtaking, but the fabric had a special power. It would be invisible to anyone who was foolish or unfit for their position. The king, thrilled by the idea, thought, "These clothes would be perfect for me. I could discover who among my advisors is incompetent and distinguish the wise from the foolish." He immediately gave the swindlers money and treasures to begin their work. The two con men set up their looms and pretended to weave, but there was nothing on them. They kept the gold and silk for themselves and continued this charade day and night, working on nothing but air. Curious to see how the fabric was coming along, but nervous that he might not be able to see it, the king decided to send his most trusted, honest minister to check on the progress. The minister arrived at the workshop, but of course he saw nothing, because there was nothing to see. However, not wanting to appear foolish or unfit for his role, he praised the invisible fabric. "Oh, it's absolutely stunning. The patterns are so intricate," he reported back to the king. Next, the king sent another official, who also saw nothing but chose to praise the beautiful fabric rather than risk being thought a fool. By now, the entire city was buzzing with talk of the king's soon-to-be magnificent new clothes. On the day of the grand event, the swindlers finally finished the garments. They pretended to cut the imaginary fabric and stitch together the invisible clothes. "Your Majesty," they said, "here are your new clothes. They're as light as a spider's web, but that's what makes them so special." The king, eager to show off, stripped down, and the swindlers pretended to dress him in his new outfit. Standing before the mirror, the king admired himself, saying, "Look how well these clothes fit me." His advisors, too afraid to tell the truth, showered him with compliments. The king proudly marched through the streets, with his courtiers holding up the train of his imaginary cloak. The people, also not wanting to seem foolish, praised the king's new clothes. "Look at the king's magnificent attire." But amidst the crowd, a small child, seeing the king for what he truly was, shouted, "But he's not wearing any clothes." The crowd fell silent. Then, one by one, they began whispering, "The child is right. He's not wearing anything." The king heard the murmurs and felt a chill run down his spine. He knew the people were right, but he couldn't admit it now. So he straightened his back and thought, "I must finish this parade with dignity." And so, the king continued to walk proudly, completely naked, while his people laughed, and his courtiers pretended to carry a robe that didn't exist. From that day on, the king learned the hard way that the truth will always come out, even from the innocent voice of a child.